met Abraham, we walked in his footsteps, and we got to know him as the father of our faith. I can say the father of faith as we see them up to the New Testament. But we got to know him also as a human being with weaknesses and testing situations, stumbling, being hurt in his relationships with his wife. And I pointed it out to you that the relationship wasn't without tensions, without challenges. We saw Abraham in his relationship with his employees and his subordinates, with his children, with his neighbors and companions, but also with his enemies. But above all, we got to know him as a person whom God chose because he had a plan with him. And in the last chapter, in Genesis 25, I would like to underline or re-emphasize once again two things. The one thing, the one issue that we see over and over again is the exclusivity of the line from Abraham through Isaac and Jacob that God chose. And it's been re-emphasized throughout the whole Bible. Listen here, Abraham took another wife whose name was Keturah. She bore him Zimran, Yokshan, Medan, Midian, Yishbak, and Shua. And Yokshan had children and the sons of Dedan, and it goes on. All these were children of Keturah. But Abraham gave all he had to Isaac. But to the sons of his concubines, Abraham gave gifts. So he made them wealthy, but he did give his inheritance to Isaac exclusively. And then it says here in verse 6, and sent them away from his son Isaac while he was still living eastward to the land of Kedem. I want to challenge you, read the Bible and see what is popular today, what we like, that everybody is a son of Abraham. And if not by blood or by genes, then by faith. The Bible re-emphasizes it over and over again. And I would like to say, whoever touches or challenges the uniqueness of Israel, the particularity of the Jewish people, opposes God's plan. By seeking to annihilate the Jewish people or delegitimize it or its state, or if humanism comes and equalizes everything. Or I would like to touch also a sensitive issue. If missionary efforts are in the end dissolving the Jewish people theologically, religiously, socially or culturally through assimilation, all these are challenges, as I see it, of God's plan. Let's be very, very careful there and submit to that and say, Lord, teach me what you did by choosing exclusively Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then the other thing I would like to emphasize, and we see it here in this final story about Abraham, is that God's election or God's exclusiveness in turning to somebody does not automatically mean hostility between those who are chosen, those elect, and let's say the rest of the world. Ishmael was not chosen. And still here we see in verse 9 that Isaac and Ishmael bury their father together. Let me remind you that a lot of things happened to Ishmael that must have hurt him. There were a lot of reasons for all kind of real and psychological traumata in his life. But still it says here, And I read again from verse 7. These are the days of the years of Abraham's life, 175 years. Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man, it says, full of years, and he was gathered to his people. And then it says, Isaac and Ishmael, his sons, buried him in the cave of Machpelah. Now, did you note the sequence here? It says Isaac and Ishmael. Not Ishmael, who was the firstborn, and Isaac. Isaac and Ishmael. And they buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar, the Hittite, east of Mamre, in the field that Abraham purchased from the Hittites. Here in Hebron, of all these places Abraham has been, this is summarized in a focal point. The nature and the ambivalence of the person of Abraham, who is not painted, not characterized as a saint that is above reproach. And then we feel it, we see it here in Hebron, that all this is relevant even 4,000 years afterwards, up to this present day. It is the importance of the land. You remember that Abraham said to his servant when he asked, what if the woman that I choose for Isaac doesn't want to come with me? Do I have to take Isaac there? No. Here's the point. This is where God has placed us. And together in all this, choosing Abram, bringing him to his land, rooting him here in his land, with all these adversaries and all the discussions that come to this present day, we see that God is opening, through his choice, a chance for the whole world. I would like to remind you there again of binding Isaac by Abraham. It gives us a perspective that goes to this very day, that comes to me and to redeeming myself. This is all connected around it. And I just want at the end, I want to thank God for this, give him all the honor. And if we look into these stories, if we walk in the footsteps of Abraham, if that causes us to say, as we say today in English, wow. And with this wow, just give all the honor, all the praise, all the glory to the one true and only God, who identified himself as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, Jacob.